The city slept under a blanket of fog and neon, unaware of the terror creeping through its streets. Somewhere near the financial district, the first scream pierced the night, sharp and sudden, cutting through the hum of traffic. Patrol cars roared to life, blue and red lights spinning through the mist. Officer Martinez slammed her door, hand instinctively on her sidearm. "What the hell?" she muttered. Ahead, a shadow moved unnaturally fast, too fast and wrong, like something human but not human. "Shots fired in 3rd Avenue, suspects down," crackled the radio, but the voice was frantic, almost panicked. Martinez's partner Jenkins turned the corner and froze. Across the street, a man, or what had been a man, crawled across the hood of a patrol car, snapping at the tires like a predator. "Everyone out. Form a line," shouted Sergeant Daniels, voice cracking over the chaos. Officers drew rifles. A helicopter whirred above, spotlight sweeping the streets, illuminating the advancing horde. They were everywhere, staggering, eyes glowing like molten gold, teeth bared. Martinez fired. Jenkins fired. The sound of gunfire echoed off the concrete canyons. The zombies didn't slow. They multiplied, spilling from alleys, climbing over parked cars, tearing through doors with unnatural strength. From the helicopter, Captain Reeve watched through thermal lenses. "They're faster than we thought. This isn't a riot, it's an outbreak." The squad tried to push toward City Hall, using patrol cars as barricades. Tires screeched, engines roared, and officers leaned out to fire while bullets tore through zombie skulls. A cruiser exploded, flames licking the fog, forcing a scramble. Martinez dove behind a sedan as one of the undead lunged at her, its teeth snapping mere inches from her face. She shoved it away, pistol roaring. Every street was a battlefield. Helicopters strafed from above, rockets tearing through horde clusters. SWAT teams rappelled from buildings, raining bullets down. Yet for every zombie that fell, 2 more emerged. Daniels yelled over the den, "We fall back to the bridge. Rally there." The retreat was chaos. Car horns blared, glass shattered, screams mixed with gunfire. Martinez's squad fought tooth and nail, using flashbangs, smoke grenades, and every weapon they could find. A helicopter strafed the avenue, illuminating the carnage below in harsh light. The horde roared in response, their unholy cries rising over the chaos. Somehow they made it to the bridge. The squad fortified their position, pulling up barricades, checking ammo. The city behind them was a burning graveyard, skyscrapers glowing orange, cars smoldering, and streets slick with rain and blood. "Command, this is deadlock. We've secured the bridge." "For now," Daniels reported, voice tense. "But the city, it's lost." Martinez wiped blood from her face and looked down at her hands. "Lost? Not yet. Not while we're alive." The helicopter above turned, circling back, its searchlight scanning the horizon. Somewhere beyond the smoke, the horde pressed on, relentless, patient, unyielding. The battle had only just begun. The bridge trembled under the weight of desperate footsteps and metal barricades. Officers panted, guns slick with sweat and blood. Martinez crouched behind a concrete barrier, scanning the fog-shrouded streets below. Even from this vantage point, the horde was relentless. They moved in waves, shadows stretching unnaturally long under the helicopter spotlight. "Ammo check, everyone!" Daniels barked. Magazines clicked and rattled as officers reloaded. Jenkins peeked over the barrier, rifle trained on the nearest approaching creature. One lunge, one bite, and the streets below would flood with more. Suddenly, the first car horn blared from the far side of the bridge. A battered patrol cruiser skidded around the barricade, tires screeching, dragging a trail of sparks along the asphalt. Inside, Officer Kwan slammed the doors, gun blazing through the windshield. Zombies toppled like bowling pins, groaning as they were torn apart. Martinez grabbed her radio. "Command, bridge is under heavy assault." We need air support now. The helicopter above responded with a low thrum, strafing with mounted guns, tracer rounds lighting up the night like fireworks. Explosions rocked the streets below as rockets found their marks, tearing chunks out of buildings and scattering the undead. Some screamed, some fell into the river, but for everyone destroyed, 2 more surged forward. Fall back to the overpass. Daniel shouted, leading the squad toward an elevated highway exit. Smoke and sparks from burning vehicles created a strobe effect, making the advancing zombies appear like a nightmare come to life. A scream pierced the night. Officer Kwan had been pulled from the cruiser by a zombie, teeth sinking into his arm. Martinez fired relentlessly, finally cutting it down, but the officer slumped, screaming, before Daniels dragged him behind cover. The overpass provided a temporary reprieve. Here the squad could see the city in ruin below, flickering streetlights, overturned buses, and the endless tide of undead filling the avenues. Martinez's chest heaved. She reloaded, feeling the familiar weight of survival pressing down. From the helicopter, Captain Reeves spotted movement in a nearby skyscraper. Daniels, there's a survivor in the 32nd floor office. They're trapped. Can you reach them? Daniels gritted his teeth. With what? The streets are crawling. We barely made it here. Reeves' voice hardened. Then improvise. The building's service elevators are still functional. Get them and bring them back to the bridge. Command will coordinate extraction from there. The squad hesitated. Every decision was a gamble with death. Then Martinez stepped forward. Let's move. No one gets left behind. They raced toward the skyscraper, weaving between burning cars and leaping over collapsed sidewalks. A patrol SUV became an instant barricade, Martinez firing from the passenger window as Jenkins drove. Zombies smashed the windshield, banging against the metal, relentless and hungry. Inside the building, the elevator creaked as it carried them upward. Each floor brought new horrors, shattered office walls, blood-smeared carpets, and the unmistakable moans of zombies feeding. Martinez's flashlight caught a creature mid-leap, and she fired point-blank, knocking it into a cubicle. Finally, on the 32nd floor, they found the survivor, a young woman, terrified and pale, clutching a tablet like it was a lifeline. "Please help," she whispered. Daniels motioned for silence. "We've got you. Let's move quietly." But the undead were already inside, drawn by the commotion. The elevator doors shuddered as hands reached through the gap. Martinez threw a smoke grenade, shoving the survivor into cover while Jenkins fired, holding the creatures at bay. The fight was brutal, the close quarters giving the zombies an advantage. Blood splattered the walls, echoing with screams and gunfire. Martinez gritted her teeth, firing until her arms shook. Daniels grabbed the survivor's hand. "We're going, now." They made it back to the bridge, the city's chaos unfolding beneath them. The helicopter lowered a rope ladder. Martinez lifted the survivor as the squad covered their rear. Below, the horde surged, their numbers seemingly endless. As they ascended, Martinez looked back at the burning city. The streets were littered with corpses, both human and undead. She clenched her fists, knowing this was only the beginning. Above, the helicopter's blades whipped the night air, carrying them away from the immediate danger, but the war for the city was far from over. The helicopter cut through the night sky, blades slicing the smoky air. Below, the city was a battlefield of fire, steel, and moaning death. Martinez clutched the survivor close, her gun still hot from the building fight. The squad huddled behind her, scanning the streets below for threats. "Command, this is Deadlock," Daniel said into the radio. "We've secured the survivor." Moving toward the LZ Delta for extraction, Static hissed back, affirmative Deadlock. But Delta is compromised. Alternate extraction, Central Highway. Heavy traffic, but route is clear for now. Proceed with extreme caution. Martinez exhaled slowly. Extreme caution is an understatement. Below, the streets twisted into a corridor of destruction. Patrol cars were overturned, flames licking the asphalt, and zombies swarmed the avenues in uncountable numbers. The squad had no choice but to descend into the urban hell to reach the highway. They touched down near a shattered intersection. The survivor clung to Martinez as Daniels led the way. Smoke from burning vehicles made visibility nearly zero, while the occasional flare from a distant helicopter illuminated grotesque figures shambling in the darkness. From the shadows, a horde surged. Martinez opened fire, cutting a path through the first wave. Jenkins slashed a fallen zombie with a combat knife, sending a spray of dark blood across the broken street. "Move, move!" Daniels shouted. The squad sprinted toward a damaged SWAT truck waiting near the highway. Engines roared as they piled in, tires screeching against debris-strewn asphalt. The undead chased relentlessly, hands clawed at doors and windows. Teeth snapped at tires. Martinez fired through the windshield as Jenkins gunned the accelerator. Another squad member tossed a grenade from the back seat. Explosions sent zombies flying, bodies tumbling into the street below. The highway stretched ahead like a scar across the city. Traffic lights hung broken, swaying from their wires, and smoke rose from overturned trucks. Martinez could see more zombies climbing over barriers, drawn by the noise. "Air support?" Daniels yelled, glancing up. Above, a second helicopter strafed the highway with mounted guns, tracer rounds streaking through the night. Explosions erupted on overpasses as rockets tore into groups of the undead. The squad fired from the truck as it barreled forward, every second a fight for survival. They hit a barricade of abandoned vehicles. Zombies swarmed from both sides. Martinez leapt from the truck, rolling into cover behind a flipped SUV. She fired relentlessly, each shot finding its mark, while Jenkins and Daniels tossed Molotov cocktails to create walls of fire. The horde shrieked as the flames engulfed them, but more pressed forward. Minutes stretched into an eternity. Tires screeched, metal groaned. Helicopters roared overhead. Martinez spotted a partially collapsed overpass ahead, the only way to bypass the growing horde. "Daniels, the overpass!" she yelled. Daniels nodded, steering the SWAT truck at a near impossible angle, slamming through the rubble. Sparks flew. Tires skidded. Zombies were thrown aside like ragdolls, but others climbed onto the vehicle, snapping and clawing. Jenkins shot them off as Martinez used a tactical baton to bash any who survived. The overpass held, barely, creaking under the weight of truck, squad, and chaos below. Helicopter blades whipped the air, providing cover as rockets struck the advancing horde, turning asphalt into a fiery grave. Finally, they reached the cleared section of highway. The squad exhaled, momentarily safe. The survivor shook, pale and trembling, but alive. Martinez looked back at the city burning behind them, knowing the streets below would never be free. Daniel spoke softly, almost to himself. "This city, it's lost. And we're the only ones left to fight." Martinez tightened her grip on her gun. "Then we fight. Until there's nothing left to fight for, or until they all fall." The highway stretched ahead, a battleground waiting to be crossed, and the horde still pressed, endless and patient. Above, helicopters circled, guns blazing, as the fight for survival continued into the dark heart of the city. The highway stretched into darkness, a ribbon of asphalt cutting through the ruined city. Martinez's squad pressed forward, tires screeching, engines roaring. Behind them, the horde clawed over burned-out vehicles and barricades, a never-ending tide of moaning death. "Helicopter status?" Daniel shouted, glancing up. Above, the chopper's spotlight traced the streets, illuminating clusters of zombies. Tracer rounds streaked across the asphalt, mowing down groups of the undead, but for every one destroyed, 2 more emerged. "Air support's holding," Captain Reeves' voice crackled over the comms. "But they're coming from the side streets now." You'll need to create a clear path to the city outskirts. Martinez's grip on her rifle tightened. Then we make one. Let's move. The SWAT truck barreled into an intersection, slamming through abandoned vehicles, sending sparks flying. Zombies lunged at the windshield, snapping and screaming, but Martinez and Jenkins fired from inside, picking off the closest threats. The survivor clung to Martinez, wide-eyed, as bullets tore through the night. An overpass loomed ahead, partially collapsed, a jagged obstacle in their path. Daniel slammed the brakes, spinning the truck in a sharp arc. Hold on. The vehicle jumped over the broken section, tires skidding on the cracked asphalt. Sparks flew, metal screeched, and zombies fell into the chasm below. But more poured from the side streets, clawing at the truck as it landed. Martinez fired point blank, pumping rounds into their skulls, while Jenkins tossed flashbangs out the windows. The highway narrowed, funneling them toward the city's industrial sector. Shipping containers and abandoned warehouses created a gauntlet. Zombies swarmed from both sides, relentless and fast. Martinez grabbed a mounted shotgun, tearing through the crowd with every blast. Suddenly, a helicopter above took a direct hit. Smoke spiraled from its side, bullets pinging against the Rota housing. Captain Reeves' voice was tense. Deadlock. You're on your own for a few minutes. Keep moving. Daniels cursed, swerving to avoid a horde that had broken through a barricade. The truck lurched, throwing Martinez and the survivor against the doors. Move, move. She shouted, firing her pistol into the nearest zombies. They reached a partially intact warehouse. Daniels skidded to a halt, the truck rocking. The squad jumped out, using it as a temporary fortress. Martinez helped the survivor inside, barricading the doors with metal shelving. Outside, the horde pressed, teeth gnashing, fists pounding on steel doors. Inside, Martinez reloaded, sweat mixing with blood on her face. We can't stay here long. They'll break through in minutes. Jenkins peered out a broken window. There's an alley behind the warehouse. If we make a run for it, we can reach the docks, maybe commandeer a vehicle there. Martinez nodded. It's risky, but it's our only chance. The squad prepared, guns loaded, grenades in hand. Martinez took a deep breath. On my count, 3, 2, 1. Go. They sprinted into the alley, gunfire tearing through the night. Zombies lunged, hands grasping, teeth snapping. Martinez slammed her shotgun into one skull, sending it tumbling into a dumpster. Jenkins fired from behind, covering the squad as they ran. Above, another helicopter appeared, circling low, firing relentlessly at the hordes. Explosions erupted behind them, lighting up the alley in orange and red. The squad didn't look back, only forward, hearts pounding, every step a battle for survival. At the docks, abandoned trucks and forklifts provided cover. Martinez climbed into a semi-truck cab, helping the survivor inside. Daniels and Jenkins mounted the sides, firing as the horde closed in. The engine roared to life. Tires spun, gravel scattering. Martinez slammed it into gear. The truck barreled down the dock road, headlights cutting through the fog. Behind them, the horde poured from warehouses and streets, but the vehicle pushed forward, unstoppable, for now. Above, the helicopter's spotlight followed them. Reeves' voice came over the comms, strained but relieved. Deadlock, you've reached the docks. Extraction inbound. Hold them off for 5 minutes and you're clear. Martinez gritted her teeth. We'll make it. We have to. The dock became a battlefield. Zombies swarming, bullets flying, and fire lighting the night. Martinez fired relentlessly from the truck cab, Jenkins tossing grenades at clusters of undead, Daniels using a mounted rifle to keep the path clear. Every second was a fight, every breath a gamble. The city behind them burned. The highway and streets were a graveyard of the dead. But ahead, the faint sound of helicopter rotors and the promise of escape kept them moving. Survival was a thin line, and Martinez knew it was only a matter of time before the city claimed its next victim, or they claimed it first. The semi-truck barreled down the dock road, headlights cutting through smoke and fog. Behind them, the horde of undead surged from warehouses, shipping containers and broken streets, a tidal wave of snapping jaws and grasping hands. Helicopter rotors thumped above, its spotlight tracking their desperate flight. Martinez leaned out of the cab, shotgun roaring. Each blast tore through the approaching zombies, but for everyone that fell, two more seemed to take its place. Jenkins tossed grenades behind the truck, explosions lighting the night in fiery orange. Daniels fired the mounted rifle from the back, clearing a narrow path. The survivor huddled in the cab, wide-eyed and shaking. Martinez shouted over the roar of engines and gunfire. "Hold on. We're almost there." Ahead, a partially intact ferry waited, its engines idling. It was their extraction point, one of the last safe vessels capable of carrying them away from the city. But the path was lined with debris and swarming undead. "Truck can make it," Daniels yelled, "but we'll have to break through the barricade." Martinez slammed the gear into high, the engine screaming. Tires screeched against broken asphalt as the truck slammed into the barricade, sending twisted metal and bodies flying. Zombies clung to the hood, but Martinez fired point blank, sending them overboard. The squad fought viciously, covering every side of the vehicle as it barreled forward. The ferry's gangway was the final obstacle. Zombies surged from the dock, crawling up ropes, climbing ladders, snapping at anything moving. Daniels fired the mounted rifle. Jenkins hurled Molotovs, and Martinez kept the shotgun trained ahead, blasting anyone foolish enough to approach. With a roar, the truck slammed onto the ferry's deck, splintering wood and tossing containers aside. The engines rumbled as the ferry began to pull away from the dock, water churning beneath. Helicopter gunfire strafed the docks, lighting up the undead in bursts of tracer rounds and explosions. But the battle was not over. From the shadows of a nearby crane, a massive mutated zombie emerged, a grotesque fusion of muscle and decay, faster and stronger than any before. It leapt onto the ferry's deck, roaring, smashing through containers, and hurling zombies aside as it advanced toward the squad. Martinez fired relentlessly, shotgun shells tearing into the creature's chest. Daniels ripped open a crate, pulling out an incendiary grenade. "On my mark," he shouted. The squad coordinated, firing together as the creature lunged. The grenade arced through the air, landing at the mutant's feet. It exploded, flames engulfing the beast as it screamed, thrashing wildly. Smoke and fire roared into the night, but the creature collapsed, finally still. Silence fell. The horde on the docks had thinned, temporarily blinded by the explosion. The ferry pushed into open water, engines churning, taking the squad, the survivor, and a few remaining officers away from the city's nightmare. Martinez collapsed onto a bench, exhausted and bleeding. The survivor clung to her, trembling. Daniels and Jenkins checked their weapons and ammo, faces smeared with grime and blood. Captain Reeves' voice came over the radio, calm but heavy. "Deadlock, you've made it out. The city is lost, but you survived. Extraction complete. Prepare for debrief and containment procedures. You've earned it." Martinez looked back at the distant skyline, flames and smoke rising from the ruined city. The streets below were littered with corpses, both human and undead, the sounds of chaos fading into the distance. She wiped her face, staring at the survivor. "We made it. But the fight isn't over. Not really. The dead will come again." Jenkins nodded grimly. "Then we'll be ready next time." "We have to be." The ferry pushed further into the night, water rippling under the moonlight. Above, the helicopter continued its patrol, searching the city for any remaining threats. For now, they had survived. But the war against the undead was far from over. Martinez gripped her shotgun tightly, eyes scanning the horizon. The city behind them was lost, but the fight for humanity had only just begun.